Chris Shanku, all the way.
I'm walking out of the chaplain's room at Baptist Memorial Hospital in Memphis, looking down at the cold white tile beneath my feet. It's October 2012, it's around 10 p.m., and I just ended my engagement over the phone and Shirley being judged by the statue of Jesus in the room. My fiance Jen is 6 hours away, and I'm leaving the chaplain's room to walk back down the long, lonely hall to my dad's inpatient room where he is dying of intestinal cancer, forcing me to realize that my love for Jen is not a lifetime kind of love. During the 8 weeks between my dad's diagnosis and death, he spent 6 of them in this hospital, hooked up to every beeping vitals monitor imaginable. And each night, all 6'2" of me slept next to him on a sofa the size of a damn skateboard. I was by 16 years the youngest of his 4 kids, but the only one he watched grow up. He had his first 3 across 2 failed marriages in his 20s, but whether due to unprocessed trauma of an abusive mom, untreated mental health and addiction diseases, or all of the above, his shame and his guilt prevented him from facing both his sadness and his children. When I was growing up, my dad would tell me he wanted me to be better than him. So at age 28, I am calling off my engagement because I'm terrified of marrying the wrong girl and becoming my dad. But don't get me wrong, my dad, he had a little swag up his sleeve too. He was the kind of man who would always walk in between a lady in traffic. He got out of a seatbelt ticket once because he told the cop, "Seatbelts are for flat bellies." And once, on a first date, when another woman started flirting with him, he leaned around her to give his first date their first kiss. Well, that first date turned out to be my mom, and she stood no chance. The good-hearted woman she was fell in love with that good-timing man, and shortly after, he asked her to marry him over the phone. I should have known I was destined for a marriage-related phone call. 5 years later, I'm 33, and I'm sitting on a piano bench at a ballroom in Atlanta, wearing a Windsor knot tie and a $50 haircut. I finish my glass of champagne before playing Drowning by the Backstreet Boys on the baby grand piano, where just feet away, a few hours prior, the love of my life and I had our first dance to the same song. I am so grateful that I called off my first engagement because I did it. I married the right girl. 3 years later, my wife gave birth to our blonde-haired, green-eyed son named Bruce, which I learned in Latin means the coolest freaking kid on earth. The next year, we bought our forever home, a 2-story house with a basement, a not-so-white picket fence, and family down the street. And on April 2nd, 2025, my wife asked for a divorce and moved out a month later. It turns out I have my own struggles with addiction. I was terrified of my sadness, so I spent the 12 years after my dad died coping in all the unhealthy ways, masking that sadness with anger. And despite my best efforts to right all those wrongs, my wife couldn't get past the damage from my lies, so she left, leaving me scared that I won't get to watch my son grow up. I did it. I became my dad. Earlier this month, my mom's in town visiting during my second dad weekend since my wife moved out. And within 48 hours of her arriving, she had managed to destroy both my living room and my kitchen because she had the audacity to build my son a pillow fort and make me a gourmet lemon raspberry cheesecake. But we'd forgotten an ingredient, so I told her and my son I was gonna run to the store and would be right back. To which Bruce, with his golden hair and his blue Chase Paw Patrol shirt, looked up at me and began to sob, begging me not to leave. But he didn't want to come with me, saying, "I love Grandma, I don't want to leave her," before running over and giving my good-hearted, kind-eyed mom a big ol' hug. 15 minutes later, I'm re-entering from my garage, and I see Bruce crawl out of his fort, run over to me, give me a big ol' hug, and yell, "Daddy, I knew you'd come back." And it hit me. Of course he did, because I always come back. Through marriage or divorce, happiness or shame, or my own mental health and addiction diseases, I will always come back for my son. My dad was a flawed man who did the best with the skills that he had, but that was his story. I'm now willing to face my sadness because I live in a time where therapy isn't taboo. I took a 6-month leave of absence to enroll in a full-time mental health program so I could learn to process my shame and guilt in healthy ways. And I'm 7 months clean from weed and alcohol, and I regularly attend And I regularly attend 12-step meetings because generational trauma, it ends with me. And I will do my part to make sure my son ends up better than me because I am my father's son. I should have known that I would end up like my dad, but I also should have known that I am not my dad. I love and miss him so much, but I'm not John. I'm Chris, and this is my story. Thank you.